welcome back to my channel. You guessed it, we're doing another episode of Wicked Wednesday, and today we are going to be talking about the disappearance of Don Lewis, Carole Baskin's husband.
Carole Baskin killed her husband, Baskin.
I had to do this one because everybody's obsessed with Tiger King right now, including myself. We've all watched it in quarantine. If you are not familiar, this is your first time tuning into Wicked Wednesday, I put on my makeup and I tell you either a ghost story or something scary every week. If you missed last week, we talked about the Eastern State Penitentiary. I will link it, a little thingy up here. I think I'm gonna use this palette today to get ready. I guess I'll do orangey vibes because tigers. If you haven't watched Tiger King is basically about these crazy people who own tiger sanctuaries or zoos or whatever the hell they are. They're insane. So one is in Oklahoma, and that's Joe Exotic. We all know and love him.
Now Joe Exotic's pissed.
He is the Tiger King. And then the other is Carole Baskin, who owns Big Cat Rescue in Florida.
Hey all you cool cats and kittens, it's Carole at Big Cat Rescue.
And her first husband's name was Don Lewis, and Don Lewis disappeared mysteriously. Carole is a shady lady, according to Joe Exotic.
Consider that bitch to be one of the biggest terrorists in the exotic animal world.
And let me just say this right now. All of this stuff is opinion, it is speculation. None of it is facts. I can't prove any of this stuff, so don't come for me because this is all just opinions. Anyway, Don was Carole Baskin's first husband. Don disappeared mysteriously over 20 years ago and nobody found him. He's still missing. Many people believe that Carole Baskin killed her husband, including her infamous rival, Joe Exotic, aka the Tiger King. There has been no substantial evidence that Carole killed her husband, but many people believe that she did, or she at least had something to do with it. Don's family and friends have stated that he was afraid of her and that he was actually planning on divorcing her before he went missing, which is kind of crazy. And another fun fact about Don, he was also a multi-millionaire. So gee, I wonder who would try to go for his money.
Hey all you cool cats and kittens.
So that's just kind of a little background on this story here. This one's not a ghost story like my other ones. This one's more of like a true crime. So I guess I will give you a little timeline here. Carole and Don got married in 1991. In June of 1997, Don filed for a restraining order against Carole. He basically did this because she had threatened to kill him not once but twice, and he said that she owned 2 guns. People are allowed to own guns. You have a right to bear arms. But also, like, why you got these guns, Carole? What do you need them for? So the restraining order was rejected. Poor Don was obviously trying to get away from her, and he couldn't because they rejected his restraining order. So that really sucks for him. So on August 18th of 1997 is when Don disappeared officially. This is only 2 weeks after he tried to file the restraining order, which, if you ask me, that sounds kind of fishy to me. Like, you just tried to file a restraining order and then you mysteriously go missing 2 weeks later. Apparently on this day, he was supposed to deliver real estate signs to his lawyer's office. These signs apparently did get delivered, but they were delivered before the office opened, and nobody ever saw Don deliver them. Nobody saw anyone deliver them. The following day, on August 19th of 1997, Carole officially reported Don missing. So the following day after Carole reported him missing, on August 20th of 1997, Don's van was found at an airport. His car was found at the Pilot Country Airport in Spring Hill, Florida, which was 40 miles away from the Big Cat Rescue. There is a theory that Don had planned a very elaborate escape from Carole, and that he drove to his airport and he escaped to Costa Rica, which is a really weird theory, I guess, because like, why Costa Rica? I have no idea. Apparently there is a theory, it was explained in the Tiger King documentary, that he possibly could have just plotted a really elaborate escape and parked at the airport and got on a plane and escaped to Costa Rica. Not many people believe that he really escaped to Costa Rica like that and made it a whole elaborate plan. Police did eventually go to Costa Rica to look for Don, and they didn't find anything.
He pulled all the passenger manifest. He wasn't on any type of plane, commercial or private, that left the country. Neither one of his 2 passports were flagged as leaving the country during this time period either. And another detective flew down to Costa Rica. No one down there had seen him in several months prior to his disappearance.
So August 23rd, 1998, over a year later, Police asked Carole to do a polygraph test, and guess what she said? She said no. So supposedly Carole said no to this polygraph test because her attorney told her not to do it. And she even went on to say like, oh, I would cooperate with the police, but my attorney tells me not to. The thing is, if you're innocent, that stuff is only gonna prove that you're innocent if you really are. I don't understand why they wouldn't let her do it. If you're ever doubting your look, just put on lashes. So on December 7th of 1998, Dawn's kids were interviewed, and they were interviewed by People magazine. They were the ones who went public with the theory that Carole fed her husband to the tigers. They apparently were really upset that the police didn't do further investigation. They didn't test the meat grinders for DNA. They basically said that this was like the perfect way to dispose of Dawn without anyone ever finding him, was to just feed him to the tigers. Dawn's children were actually the ones who came up with that theory, and then of course it was very much talked about in the docuseries. And this is where, you know, Carole says her little famous line that everyone's talking about. Oh, well, you know, if I was gonna kill him, I would have covered him in sardine oil so that the tigers would actually want to eat him, not just feed him to the tigers. Who even says that, you crazy person? The kids were really upset that they didn't even like test the meat grinders for DNA or anything like that. And Carole says that basically it's impossible for her to feed Dawn to the tigers because they don't eat like the bones and things, they just eat the meat. So there would have still been remains left over if she had fed them to the tigers, is what she says. So in 2002, Dawn was officially declared dead, and this was 5 years after his disappearance. So finally they're like, all right, he must be dead, we haven't found him. Obviously we don't know if that's really the case, we have no idea where Dawn is, he hasn't turned up. At this point, police are assuming that he's just dead. At this point, Carole can gain access to his will, and what do you know? She is the executor to his will. And Dawn had left behind $5 million in assets. $5 million is a life-changing amount of money for a lot of people. That very well could include Carole Baskin. So things get a little sketchy here now too. Ironically, right before his disappearance, she became the executor to his will, and there's a lot of like documents that are a little fishy. They talked about this a lot in the Netflix series. The wording of it was really fishy. A lot of people think that she forged these documents and that Dawn didn't actually make her the executor of the accounts, which, I mean, it would make sense because why would he if he was trying to run away from her? Why would he leave her all his money when he has kids and stuff like that? Even if he was trying to escape, like, it's just fishy.
My 28 years experience, I've never had a missing persons case where someone left their entire wealth behind. Who has ever seen a will where there's a provision in there? If I ever disappear or become missing, leave the bulk of my wealth to this person.
But again, we have no evidence saying that these are forged. You know, we have no evidence that Carole flubbed these documents. So in 2011, the police asked Carole to take another polygraph test, and again, she declined, again, saying that her attorney told her not to, which at this point, like, don't you think she would just want to clear her name? Like, okay, I want nothing to do with this type of thing. But no, she declines to take the polygraph yet again. And then fast forward to March of 2020, the month where we all became quarantined, and the month that Tiger King was released on Netflix. What a time to be alive. The time that TikTok went crazy with Joe Exotic and Carole Baskin TikToks.
Some bitch down there in Florida.
Truly a time we will never forget. Now, March 31st is the first that we would hear from Carole Baskin after the Tiger King series was released.
Hey, all you cool cats and kittens.
She created a blog post basically stating that she had nothing to do with Dawn's disappearance. And let me read it to you. Tiger King has a segment devoted to suggesting with lies and innuendos from people who are not credible that I had a role in the disappearance of my husband, Dawn, 21 years ago. The series presents this without any regard for the truth, or in most cases even giving me an opportunity before publication to rebut the absurd claims. They did not care about the truth. The unsavory lies are better for getting views. So that's what Carole had to say about the Tiger King docuseries. She thinks she was painted in a bad light and she didn't have a chance to explain herself, blah, blah, blah. I don't know, what do you guys think on that one? Okay, so now we're creeping a little closer to the present. So on April 1st of 2020, the sheriff actually spoke out. This is the sheriff from the Hillsborough County PD in Florida. His name is Chad Chronister, or Chronister, I'm not really sure, but I'm gonna call it Chronister. So he actually talked to the New York Times and told them that they don't have any evidence basically that Dawn was killed. They still have the case filed as a missing person. Not one single piece of evidence that this was like a murder or he was killed in any way. This is just a missing persons case right now.
There's no active leads.
However, he does say that he has met with the homicide department and they are looking for new tips and things like that. They are going to look into the case a little bit more because they do think it's fishy.
Anything that's viable, we're going to pursue to the end of earth to try to bring some closure to Mr. Lewis's family and bring some justice.
He even posted on Twitter that they are looking for tips, basically any new tips, and to report them to the police if you know anything. So if you do have any tips, or you have seen Dawn or anything like that, or you know something that the police don't know, please report it. So they are suspicious. He said that he thinks that it's very odd, everything that happened, and they are going to look into it.
Do I believe he's been killed, that he's dead? Yes, I do. Do I know who did it and how he died? That I don't know. And I'm hoping that we will get that missing interview, that missing piece of evidence to solve this case.
And then the very same day that he kind of reported to the New York Times, someone who says that they are Dawn's granddaughter posted on TikTok, which TikTok is my life now. She posted on TikTok basically thanking everyone for the support, and she basically tried to prove that she was Dawn's granddaughter by saying that, like, oh, here's some baby pictures of me with him, and here's some newspaper articles from the day he went missing and all that, blah, blah, blah. But we don't really know if she's Dawn's granddaughter or if she's just a poser. Nobody really knows. April 27th, which I'm filming this April 28th, so this happened yesterday, so this is as up to date as I possibly have at this point. So yesterday, Dawn's lawyer, his name is Joseph Fritz, he actually appeared in the Netflix series. He came out yesterday with his own opinion and says that he has sources that have led him to believe that he was strangled and pushed out of a plane into the Gulf of Mexico, and that's why his car was found at the airport. He thinks there are multiple people involved. He thinks at least 2 people were actually there when he was killed. He thinks that one was basically in the back seat of the plane strangling him while the other one was driving the plane. He doesn't really have evidence, but he has, I guess, sources who have told him that this is what happened. But apparently Dawn was strangled with an electric cord in the backseat and then pushed out into the Gulf of Mexico, according to his lawyer. He also sent out a warning to possible murderers, saying that they should watch their backs, basically, and that revenge is best served cold. So, and he said somebody is coming for them. I hope they do. Like, if he really was murdered, then I hope they find who did it. What do you guys think about this? Do you think that Carole killed her husband or that she was involved? Do you think he just kind of like took off because he was trying to get away from her because he was scared of what she could possibly do? I don't know. Hopefully the police will dig some stuff up. I mean, it's got to be hard to dig up evidence from over 20 years ago, but it's not impossible, and technology is really good these days, so you never know. They could find something. These are all just speculations. We don't really know what happened. Nobody knows. Sound off in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think about this whole situation. I know it's crazy. Personally, I think I side on Team Joe Exotic. I think I definitely am on his side. I think Carole had something to do with it. It just seems all too fishy for her not to be involved, so I don't know, that's my personal opinion, but let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you so much for watching again this week. Again, leave more requests down below for more Wicked Wednesday stories like this. I can do more true crime if you want to. I really like doing ghost stories and stuff like that because I think that's a little more fun and it's more lighthearted. It's not like murder. Let me know what you guys want to see. Give this video a big thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss an episode of Wicked Wednesday. And I also do other beauty videos on here too sometimes, so check those out. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!